a directed research methods class. Al Westerman here in Peterborough, right by my church, repping my Tyndale shirt, and we're going for a walk. We're talking about why social change, we're talking about why life change, changing an aspect of your life even, is so difficult, and why it's so rare. And so what I've found through the research that I've been doing is that it's rare because really we're comfortable. And this change that's being proposed, sometimes being proposed by someone else, it represents a level of discomfort. We fear the loss aspect of it. We fear that we might be losing out on something if we change this element of our lives. Well, then I don't get to keep what I know. And so we have to experience this loss. And that really scares people. And so one of the most important things that's absolutely foundational for if someone wants to change their life is they have to be ready. They have to be really wanting to do it. You know, we could think about a doctor's visit, okay? So if someone's living a fairly unhealthy lifestyle and a doctor says to them, you know what, you're going to need to do some changes. You're going to need to stop smoking. You're going to need to stop drinking. You're going to need to start eating healthier and exercising. So a doctor says that to someone. The person replies with, what happens if I don't? The doctor says, well, you won't be as healthy and your quality of life will be a little bit lower. The person thinks to themselves, so nothing really changes? So what's this person going to do? They're not going to do anything. Most likely they're not going to do anything. If a doctor recommends for this person to change their life in one or several areas, most likely they're not going to do it. Because people get very comfortable in their situations. But what happens if the doctor goes about it in a slightly different way? He says you have to. You have to do this. Your health is actually deteriorated to a certain point where it is absolutely essential and imperative and it's life dependent that you change your life in these ways. The probability goes up a lot higher. Because I've found in my life, it's amazing what people can do when they eliminate the option of choice. And if there's no choice, then you just kind of do it. So there are lots of factors that go along with all this. One of them is encouragement, right? So encouragement can be such a huge role. One of the studies that I was looking at was curious about how the role of, it was a Norwegian study, as a matter of fact, how the role of encouragement and research plays an effect into how effective the physical activity they had been assigned is. So they had two groups. They had the control group and the intervention group. Now the control group was just said, okay, do these things, it'll help. And then the intervention group was encouraged on a regular basis, and they're also given all sorts of great information as to like the benefits of what they were doing and how great it was for them and how great it was for their health. Well, who do you think did better? The intervention group did way better across the board. Every single one of their results, their spinal flexibility was better, their quality of life was higher, and their level of physical activity was higher. Across the board, better. So encouragement can play a huge role, but we have to be careful with this as well, because if someone's not ready, remember I said earlier, being ready is very important. If someone's not ready and we come at them with something. So the example that was in one of the articles was a wife can say to a husband, let's go for a jog you know, it'll do us both some good. Now, how is the husband going to take this? He could take this one of two ways. He could think that she's being supportive or controlling. He could think that, so he could take it as an attack. What are you saying? I'm not healthy. Well, you don't care? Or he could take it as my wife really cares about me. And so this support can be perpetual in both ways, in a negative way and in a positive way. Oh, we got some traffic here. I look like an idiot just doing a selfie video. And so being ready really plays a massive role in that. And but what they have found also is that when we have some sort of community backing us up, whether it be the person's spouse or whether it be a small group, it makes an astronomical difference. I was talking with my pastor. He was the person who I interviewed, and he was telling me some of the amazing stories, some of the testimonies that have come out of a small group community like this. So we had a focus group for our church for men who were battling their addiction to pornography. And this one man said that for the first time in his life after doing this, like he had tried and failed so many times. He tried to combat his addiction on his own. He tried all these other things. But now in a small group community with great information and great encouragement, it's going to rain, that he, for the first time in his life, felt like there was hope. He felt like there was hope for him. Now that is really cool. Another man doing the same study, he got some of the information that he got was on the concept of myelinization. Now, what this means is that our brain develops pathways over time based on what we do. So now this man, what he had done is he had allowed his brain to develop an addiction by continually going back to pornography. And now he can deal with that. He can deal that his brain has created an addiction. He can deal with the fact that his brain is used to going there. But because you can retrain the brain, right? The brain is retrainable. It's difficult. It's very difficult, as a matter of fact, but it is possible. Now, he's tried, this man also has tried and failed to quit pornography many times, but he hasn't been able to do so. Now, that's a hard pill to swallow if the answer is that he's a bad person. Because that's what he was believing. That's what he's been believing most of his life, that he was a bad person. But he's not. He's a good person who's made a bad mistake, who's allowed himself to develop an addiction. Now he has to combat that. And he has to combat that with truth. Okay? There's a story in the Bible where Jesus is saying, unless the strong man guards the house, people can get in. And then he starts talking about this demon, right? So this demon gets kicked out, walks around arid places, can't find anywhere else to go, and then he comes back with 7 friends worse than themselves, and other situations even worse. So this is a brilliant story for addiction, because we need that strong man in our lives. We need Jesus Christ in our lives. We need the truth in our lives to protect us. He will protect us from these demons, from these addictions, from these evil spirits that try to get in. And the truth has to stand guard. And so that's one of the great remedies for battling addiction. Pastor Sean also said that he thinks that a greater call to spiritual disciplines is a massive benefit, because it gives us an opportunity to be ministered by God Himself. That God Himself can minister to us through His Word. And through our spirit and prayer as well. That's my thinking face. So here we're at my church. We're about to walk in. We can go see my office. I guess you guys don't really need to do that. Well, you know what? We got just a couple of seconds left to the video. Sorry about this. Let me switch it around. Okay. Lots of windows, eh? Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, I'm sure you guys have lots of questions. I didn't get to like a tenth of the stuff I wanted to because there's just so much good stuff to say about this. But please just write down the questions. You could probably put them on this YouTube thing if you wanted to, and let me know. I will hopefully be able to answer them. Thanks. Bye.